Imagine waking up only when your body is fully ready, with absolutely no alarm clocks. There is no strict schedule to follow, and no specific place you need to be. You slowly sit up in your bed, stretch your arms, and ask yourself a question. What should I do today? For most of human history, this was a daily reality. For nearly 300,000 years, every single morning began exactly like this for humans. And the answer to that morning question looked nothing like the busy life you live now.
Modern humans spend about 90,000 hours of their entire lives dedicated solely to working. That is roughly 1/3 of your waking existence spent performing a modern job.
But for the vast majority of our history, the concept of a job did not exist. There was no employment, no weekly paychecks, and no corporate ladder to climb.
So, what did prehistoric people actually do with their time all day long?
Let us start by looking at the concrete evidence we know for certain. In 1963, a pioneering anthropologist conducted a groundbreaking historical study. He tracked the daily activities of the local community living in the region. They are one of the few remaining groups living like pre-agricultural humans. He discovered that adults spent only about 2.5 days per week gathering food.
That is roughly 17 hours a week. The rest of the time was entirely theirs. This same relaxed pattern shows up everywhere anthropologists look across the globe.
We see it in the Hadza of Tanzania, who live in completely different environments. We see it in the Aceh of Paraguay and the Martu of Australia.
Despite different continents and climates, they all spent minimal hours on survival.
For context, you likely work at least twice as much as they did. Some might wonder how we know ancient humans lived this exact same way.
The fascinating answer to that question is preserved forever in ancient bones. When archaeologists compare ancient skeletons to early agricultural populations, the differences are shocking.
Early farmers were significantly shorter and showed clear signs of nutritional deficiency.
Their teeth were riddled with painful cavities from grain-heavy diets.
They suffered from severe arthritis in their spines due to repetitive daily labor.
And most importantly, early agricultural humans died at a much younger age.
In contrast, ancient hunter-gatherer skeletons reveal taller, stronger, and healthier individuals. Their bones tell a clear story of less repetitive physical strain.
But the most incredible evidence of their leisure comes from prehistoric art.
In 1994, explorers discovered Chauvet Cave in southern France. Inside were sophisticated paintings created roughly 30,000 years ago. They depicted horses, lions, and rhinoceroses with incredible perspective and shading. This was highly sophisticated art that required immense skill, planning, and time.
Someone spent days deep inside a cave, painting by flickering firelight.
They did this not for survival, but for beauty and meaning. In South Africa, archaeologists found 100,000-year-old shell beads.
These tiny seashells had delicate holes drilled to be worn as jewelry. The nearest coastline was 20 kilometers away from where they were found.
Someone walked 40 kilometers round trip just to collect these beautiful shells.
They then spent hours carefully drilling holes with simple stone tools. In Germany, researchers discovered a 40,000-year-old flute carved from bone. It had 5 perfectly spaced finger holes, showing an understanding of music.
The creator spent significant time crafting this instrument purely for melody.
These decorative and artistic objects are found all across the ancient world.
They prove that prehistoric humans had abundant time for creative expression. So, let us reconstruct a typical day in the life of our ancestors. You wake up naturally around dawn as the sun slowly rises. The campfire from the previous night is still smoldering gently.
You eat leftover meat or fish, perhaps with some gathered berries. Breakfast is a social event where people talk and plan loosely.
By mid-morning, a small group might leave to hunt or gather.
But hunting was not a daily chore if food was already stored.
Instead, you might spend the morning crafting tools or weaving baskets.
This was not work in the modern, stressful sense of employment. They prove that prehistoric humans had abundant time for creative expression. If a hunt occurred, it was a patient process of persistence tracking. Humans tracked animals for hours until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. By early afternoon, the productive part of the day was finished. What followed was hours of resting, socializing, and telling stories.
At night, around the fire, they shared myths and laughed together.
They lived a life of freedom, already complete, with nothing to prove.